Well, welcome to the Jukebox and Net Radio demonstration video. Before we start the video, I'd like to make 2 points. First, there is a herringbone pattern on the video. I apologize for that. I think you can still see through it, but please ignore it if you can. The second point is I talk about a database. There are no external databases that are formatted or anything. All the databases are created by the program itself according to the buttons pushed and so on. So thank you. Let's get on with the demo. Today I'm going to demonstrate the function of the Jukebox program, which also has a net radio function. The music you hear in the background is the music that's playing on first boot up of the Jukebox program. Each time the program boots up, it starts at a random place in the database. Now here, I've got almost 5,000 songs, and it's at the 3750th song, which isn't very useful information, but it's there for reference. Now, why would you want to have music in your Raspberry Pi like this? I've got a 32 gig card, and the 32 gig card easily holds 5,000 songs. There are certainly larger cards these days, so that even if you had collections going up to 15,000 tracks, I think this would do the job nicely. So as you can see, it's playing the first song, and below it are 5 songs that are the next 5 songs in the database. So sequentially, when it gets to the end of Crazy She Calls Me, it's going to move to Our Love Is Here to Stay, and so on. Sometimes we want to do that. Sometimes we want to just listen to a certain kind of music. And on the right-hand side, we have the genre that I've chosen to include in the program. Now, these are in the program, but they're easily changed to have the labels match the genres that you choose in your own songs. In another video, I'm going to talk about the organization of the database to make this program optimal. I've certainly spent probably as much time with the database as I have with the program and the programming. Just to demonstrate how that goes, I'm going to push the Celtic button and we'll jump into Celtic songs. It's going to play Lorena McKennitt, Lord of the Rings, and I'm not going to let it go further. To move to a different genre, you clear first. I'll go to rock and roll and jazz. Weird combination, but bladders are going to go. My rock and roll, just for interest, is rock and roll is real old rock, and rock is just any rock music in contemporary times. So that's pretty much it, except that sometimes we want to just play a certain artist, and the way we select that is to use the letters at the bottom. The letters have been split up so that there's a big enough area to use touch control. I'll push P, and we see that my database P first name artists are listed. It goes into the Q and R's as well, but it's just as many as it takes to get on the screen, starting with the first P. Patty Page, for instance. And away it goes into Patty Page. I'll select W, and W really gives everything from T on, since that's what fills my screen, but it would depend on how many you had with that letter. U2, for instance, there we go. So as you can see, you can jump around the database real quickly just to find the music you like, the artist you like, or the genre you like. At the bottom, there are selections of icons that give the normal functions. There are page up and page downs, which would let you page through the database if you felt like doing that. Just keep going down and down through all of the other songs. This little grouping is various artists, so they don't make too much sense to you, but when we get through it, it'll switch to others. So that's the summation of the Jukebox. There's another icon, of course, on the screen, and that is the net radio. So switching to net radio you jump into the first song in the upper left side buttons. That's, in my case, Jazz FM Toronto. The other labels are all for your selection of net radio streaming stations, and the database for those is outside of the program in a small text file that is executable. And that if you move that file around, you must always remember to make the file executable. I keep it in the Pi folder along with the folder with the Net Radio and Jukebox program. In fact, it's inside the folder for the Net Radio and Jukebox program. Just switch to another station, just to look below the yellow block that labels the station playing. There's information below that may or may not appear according to whether they transmit it in the stream. I know from using it that Radio Paradise does readily use that space to tell you what's playing, along with some other information that's about the program playing. CBC Toronto does not, and the garbage that appears first is related to the URL. Jazz FM Toronto generally does, but the last time I tried this earlier today, I didn't see information. So maybe it's not doing it anymore. Soma FM female vocalist station, which is a very nice station to listen to, does tell you the information. So there you go. I think in my case I've got 16 different stations that can be played. Again, across the bottom are the standard buttons, I think, except one is a little different from the jukebox side. There's just an icon indicating that the Wi-Fi is functioning and that the IP address is listed under it. So that's it. We can just flip back to Jukebox like that. And of course, we went into a different place. And just to go back to the genres, every time you go to a genre and go in to play it, if you clear it and go back, you go back to a different place in the database. So every time you go back to the whole database, it picks a random artist and starts playing it. That's it for the description of the Jukebox and the Net Radio. I just want to mention a couple of things that you might find this program useful for. This is a program built on Python with an overlay of Pygame. And Pygame is the magic that gives us total control of the screen. It lets us put anything anywhere and make buttons anywhere and make them touch sensitive. And there's a routine inside that does the scanning, and when you're not using touchscreen, if you plug a mouse in, mouse control does the same thing. So it's flexible that way, either touch or mouse control. So you could use this on a different screen other than the standard 7-inch Raspberry Pi screen that I'm using. The Pi that I'm using, just for a concept of how fast this is the Pi 3. But I've got another one that's using Pi 2, and it's not quite as fast when you're switching modes and switching into the artist, but it's hardly noticeable. So I think that's it. Again, you'll see the herringbone on the screen. That is not part of the program. That's part of the video process I'm using, which isn't very good in that sense. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. So, Janice, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Well, do you like this jukebox thing that I've been talking about all morning?
I love it.
Well, what do you like about it?
I love that the music of my life is on there and that I can just decide what I want to listen to at any moment and easily find it, easily turn the thing on and just start it going.
What genre do you usually listen to?
I usually listen to Celtic and folk.
Okay. And so you got one here in Florida? Have you got one at home up in Canada?
Sure, it's on the wall of my kitchen.
That's a good place for it. Well, thanks for your comments today, Janice.
You're welcome.